Hello, everybody, and welcome to another new episode of the Hallmark Guy Podcast. I am Baptiste, the Hallmark Guy, and I'm very excited to be back to recap weekend six. That's crazy to think that we're already there. Weekend six of 2025 Countdown to Christmas, two brand new movies before we get into the crazy Merry Thanksgiving weekend with seven movies. Um, I'm already stressed about how I'm going to keep up with everything. So we have two new movies to talk about. Um, and that's basically all we're going to talk about in this episode. Still no mistletoe murders, and I don't really have anything to say about reality TV. And I'm not done watching Baked with Love actually for this week. So I have one thing to say about Finding Mr. Christmas from last week that I forgot to say, so I'll probably mention that at the end. But this episode will probably mostly focus on the two movies that we had this last weekend. And we're going to start right away with the first one, Holiday Touchdown, A Bill's Love Story. Um, the second movie in the Holiday Touchdown franchise after Holiday Touchdown, A Chiefs Love Story that premiered last year. Um, in Kansas City, you can see the Chiefs things in the background, so you know I'm biased towards the Chiefs one, and I obviously hate the Bills. But that won't let me affect. It won't let it affect. I won't let it affect what I felt about this movie. But I'll just say they chose a second AFC team, and probably it's one of the Chiefs' biggest rivalries and the biggest one in the playoffs for sure. The Chiefs ended the Bills playoffs dreams every time. They've been doing that. It's a huge rivalry between the two teams, so it's interesting they went that way, but it's also understandable because it's one of the hottest teams in the NFL, one of the biggest teams in the NFL. Um, so yeah, I will say another thing, and it before we get into more of the movie. Last year, the Chiefs one felt like a huge event all across Hallmark. And maybe it was added by the fact that I was in Kansas City. It was about Kansas City. We had like a red carpet premiere that coincided with the first weekend of the Hallmark Christmas experience, the first ever weekend. Um, and it was the big movie of the year, which this year it is not because they're making the Grand Ole Opry, Christmas at the Grand Ole Opry, I think is the right title, um, the big one. Um, And maybe there was a whole thing also with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Maybe that helped, but it felt, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if I'd lived in Buffalo, it would have felt that big. But I felt like the hype wasn't as big as it was last year. Last year they were all like they appeared on the Today Show. I don't feel like actors from this one did this year. So yeah, I feel like the hype wasn't that big, but and I'm not going to give too much away before we get into the recap of the movie, but it deserved to get the hype. As a Chiefs fan, I'll say that, and then I'll say more at the end. Let's get into the movie. Holiday Touchdown: A Bill's Love Story premiered Saturday, November 22nd, 2025 at 8/7 Central on Hallmark Channel and starred, and I have to give like almost the whole cast because it it is an ensemble movie, like for the Chiefs one, and it's big names. So it starred Olin Roden, Matthew Daddario, Caroline Aaron, Steve Sherpa, I'm so sorry, Patty Morin, Patrick Mulvey, Eve Gordon, Abraham Ben Ruby, Tracy Pollan, Joe Pantoliano, and I had, even though it's like such a small screen time, is such a huge name, Andrew Walker. So, um, Morgan is a big Bills fan to the point where she does not care about her date because she's too focused on the game. And we learned that it is about to be the final Christmas game at Highmark Stadium. If you're a big NFL fan, you know. If you're not, you might not know. The Bills are building a new stadium that is their final season in this stadium. I will say they're building a new stadium with only I cannot find the word. The stands covered. The field is not covered. And every year we get that game we get that moment of the year where it snows so much in Buffalo, and it's like, will that game happen? Will the game this week happen? Will we have to move it? And at this point, if you're building a new stadium, I'll give my opinion on that. If you're building a new stadium, you don't put a roof on it, even though they say they're going to have the biggest snow melting thing in the stadium. If you're building a new stadium and there's an issue with the snow and you have to push a game or whatever, you forfeit that game at that point. You had the opportunity to put a new from the new stadium, you did not. So, and also that stadium looks like a soccer stadium. Anyway, but good for you for getting a new stadium. It, I mean, I'm sure they're happy. I'm happy for you guys. So the Morgan's family has a joint front yard tailgate light display with their neighbors, who are their best friends, so their family at that point. And her family and the friends have a tradition of taking a photo inside the stadium for Christmas for the Christmas game. Tradition that started at the Christmas her dad died. And Morgan's sister's Kathy is afraid that she's going to miss it because she's going to give birth like anytime now. So she's doing everything to give birth either way before, and that's when in the movie she's gonna be like, no, now I have to make sure I don't give birth before. So she's trying techniques and to give birth early. She's eating everything that's spicy. And then later in the movie, she'll do breathing exercise to make sure she doesn't give birth early, uh, before the game. We meet Gabe, the VP of Stadium's development, and the neighbor's son, and Morgan's best friend. And he is clearly in love with her. And everyone knows that. But he says it's never the right time because they're never single at the same time. And then she moved away from med school and residency, and he focused on his career. But now their friends points out you're both settled into your careers and you're both single. So there's a moment when he almost tells her, but he gets interrupted. Morgan's uncle Tommy receives a Bill's Santa ornament in the mail, and he reveals that every year for the past 54 or 55 years, he has been receiving something in the mail without knowing who it is from. It started as help when he was young and his single mom was raising five kids. At the time, his salary helped the family, but he got drafted and the family did not have enough money anymore. And when she was about to lose everything, his mom, someone started dropping off groceries and money, gifts for the kids on Christmas morning, and every year since then, the Christmas gifts kept coming. And he has been wanting to find that mystery center to thank them, but he never did, and he accepted that there was really a Santa Claus. Um, Once Tommy leaves, Morgan reveals that Tommy put his life on hold after her dad died to help raise her and her sister Kathy, and he let them live at his house, and he never did anything for him, never asked for anything. So Gabe and her decide to look for the mystery center, but they decide to not tell anyone in case they can find them. But since they're and first obstacle that they face is that since there are no return address on the mail thing, the post office cannot track the mail. Gabe drives Morgan to the hospital because one of her patients is scared to have her blood drawn. And on the way out, one of the nurses tells her that the kids will be asking for a lot of Bill's merch in their Christmas cards. So Morgan says that she will start buying them now. And it's important that you remember that for later in the movie. Gabe tries again to tell her he loves her, but he panics and then gets interrupted again by the lone display lighting. By looking at the collection of gifts Tommy has received throughout the years, they found one without a Bills logo on it, and it was sold at a store called Builders, so they hope to look at their sales record from the 70s. But one of the employees does not want to let them see the receipts because there is personal info on them. But after Morgan tell her the whole story, she agrees, but they have to dig in through unorganized 6 years of receipts. They have to coordinate their work schedule to come back to look at the receipts over multiple days. Now, remember when Morgan had to buy the Bills merch? Gabe has for the day of the event, Gabe has players and merch show up to the what they call Christmas card craft time CCCT. And so that's a great moment. We have three Bills player. The only guy that I know is Damar Hamlin. I think they say the name at some point in the movie, but I didn't write them down. I'm sorry about that. At the event, even Santa and the players tell Gabe that it is obvious that he loves May or Morgan. Kathy tells Morgan that her eyes light up when she talks about Gabe, and Morgan says that he is just a friend. But when Kathy asks her if she is sure that it is all she wants him to be, she does not answer, and then she's confused when she's around him. Gabe tells Gabe encounters Santa on the street, the same one that was at the hospital, and he tells him that he does not want to ruin the family's relationship if he tells Morgan how he feels. After multiple days of looking at receipts, Gabe finally finds the one, but the name is worn off. But there's an address, and decipher they make it that, oh, it's in Abbott Abbott Road. They go to the house, Abbott Road, sorry. They go to the house, but it is now the house of a Bills player born in the 90s, so it was not him who's been sending things since the 70s. So Gabe goes to City Hall to ask for the record of who lived there, but does not help. They take a break to go to Carolcade, which is like caroling in the street in Buffalo, and they have a moment when Gabe gives his coat to Morgan and says he will make the sacrifice of freezing for her to be warm, but they again get interrupted. Kathy talks to Morgan. I just want to say Megan. I don't know why. Kathy talks to Morgan about Gabe again, and Morgan asks that if there was that says that if there was no sorry Morgan asked that if there was something, wouldn't that have happened by now? But Kathy reminds her that this is the first Christmas they actually spend together in years, so it is the perfect time. But does she want something to happen? And Morgan does not answer. She dodges the answer. Morgan and Gabe find a picture of Tommy and a girl named Mia in 1970 at the old Bill Stadium. It was his last game before he got drafted, and Mia Ford, her last name, was one of his best friends in high school. But they lost touch after he left for war. He looked her up and went to where she worked, but it had closed, and he never knew where she moved. But no one, and the thing is that no one with the last name Ford owned the house on Abbott Road, or no one named Mia owned the house either. They decide to call in reinforcement and go to their friend who is a huge Bills fan and acts like a mafia lord who is great at social media stalking. She immediately finds Mia's sister, who still lives in Buffalo, but she has not been active since 2017, and no proof that she ever lived on Abbott Road. Abbott Road. Gabe kind of wants to give up, but Morgan says they can't, and Santa shows up and says that he is going to a party on Abbotsford Place, which could be another possible address because they only had the Abbott kind of figured out. So they head there, and it is Mia's house. Well, Mia opens the door. The house stayed in the family, and her sister owns the house now. So, and she's here to visit for Christmas, and because her niece is being honored at the salute service at the game the next day. Morgan and Gabe explain why they have been trying to find her, and Mia says that she is the one who has been sending the gifts. But she does not want them to tell Tommy because she does not want him to feel indebted to her in any way. She just wanted to help. She kept going even after he came back from war because she has been in love with him for forever, and she never got the chance to tell him. And it seemed like he was not meant to be because of the war, and she moved. But she also did not want to let him go, and sending gifts felt like he was still part of her life. Gabe encourages her to come forward, but she's scared to be rejected. Plus, she does not live in Buffalo anymore. Maybe I was going to say Chicago. Maybe the next one will be about the Bears. Gabe wants to tell Tommy, but Morgan wants to respect Mia's wishes because she does not want to put her in an uncomfortable position if Tommy does not feel the same. Gabe wants to keep going because it matters to Morgan and because she's passionate about the Bills and her family, and he continues by listing qualities that he likes about her until he tells her that he loves her. He said that he does not want, he said she does not have to say anything back, but he does not want to end up like Mia. Morgan doesn't know what to say, and she decides to walk home to clear her head. The next day, it's the big game, and at the tailgate, it is awkward between the two. Tommy tells Gabe tells Gabe that if you try to avoid pain, it will turn into regret, and he encourages him to take a chance. Gabe has to leave for work, and they will meet for the family photo after the game. He only makes it to the game or to the stand with the family at halftime for the salute to service. Mia's niece honors her and says an army veteran wants to do the same. And Tommy shows up at midfield and tells the story of how Mia helped his family. They reunite, and Tommy tells her that he has been in love. He had been in love, wanting to tell her that he had been in love for 40 years, and they kiss. And it's a sweet moment. Morgan realizes that Gabe organized all of this, and she's about to tell him that she loves him, but Kathy goes into labor. So they all leave to go to the hospital. Well, the neighbor, the friend that wants to be like, I'm watching the game, I'm not leaving. They all still leave. A few days later, we learn that the baby is named Jessica. And since they were not able to get the last family photo at the stadium, Gabe managed to organize for the family to get the picture on the field, and players join them to play flag football. Morgan thanks Gabe, and he says he just wants to make sure that they are good. But before he's able to finish his sentence, she kisses him and tells him that she does not want to wait a lifetime either. The family and the players say, "Finally, like we've all been waiting for this." Um, and it in the stands we see Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, who turns out to be the employee from the store. And they talk about how Morgan and Gabe just needed a little help along the way. Morgan scores a touchdown and they kiss in the end zone. And that was Holiday Touchdown, a Bill's love story. You know what? I'm kind of mad that I feel like my best summary so far is the Bills movie one. Even though I watched the Sunday movie before I watched that one, so technically, and I did mirror kind of the how I did the summary. So technically, my first best summary is not that one. Um, a lot of things to say about this movie. A lot of things I loved. A lot of things I have questions or I want to point out. So I'll start with what I loved. So the first one, we get a cameo from Tyler Hines and Hunter King from Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. We see them at the beginning, but towards the beginning, I got scared for a second. I was like, please don't make them Bills fan. Don't be traitors to the Chiefs and to the Chiefs movie. And they're just here to make a cute cameo. Which is weird is that they encounter Santa, and I feel like now I feel like I need to. Now I feel like I need to check because I've heard that the Santa Claus is the same Santa Claus from the Chiefs movie. So now I'm just checking to make sure because that is what I heard. But and if it is, yeah, it is the same. So if it is the same guy, they interact with him. Like, wouldn't Hunter recognize him? So I was like, but so that was my question. That was my thing. I like that we got the kind of cameo. It reminded me of how all the Christmas in Evergreen movie, it's always the new girl lead, but all the girls will always pop up at some point in the movie, just like for like a scene. So it reminded me of that, like, hey, we're making that nod. And I feel like because I feel like we're gonna get other Hollywood touchdown movies, we're gonna continue to have that. Another cameo was of course Andrew Walker. I love Andrew. And last year, when I attended the Hallmark Christmas experience, I went for weekend two and I had a the only panel I had was um, Hallmark stars on stage, basically like behind the scenes of the movie. And Hollywood Touchdown, a Chief's love story, I just aired the week before, and they asked what movie would you have wanted to do, and I think Andrew said that one, and said, well, which team? And Andrew said, well, now that I live in Los Angeles, I I feel like I wouldn't do one of the Chargers, but I was also born in Montreal, so our closest team was the Bills. And what was funny is that if the 2 days later, the Chiefs were going to play the Chargers, and of course the Bills are huge enemies, and the Chargers in the division. I'm like, he's just asking to get killed right now. Um, but when they announced the Bills movie, I was like, this is Andrew's movie to lose. Andrew, there's a chance Andrew might be the the star of the movie. They did not make him the star of the movie, but they of course gave him a cameo, which made sense as a bar owner. So it was nice to see him in in the movie, and then a lot of funny moments, which I haven't seen the Chips movie in almost a year, but I feel like it's kind of the same thing as for the Bills. I have memories of it being funny. Maybe I'm wrong, but being like really funny. So a lot of really really funny moments for me. Was there a lot of comedy in the movie? I feel like the two moms neighbors not wanting the same tree, and so the kids having to be in the middle part, having to kind of be like the middle man, middle persons were like getting a phone call like, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah, your mom, we're gonna calm down your mom's like, no, we got a Virginia tree, whatever. And Gabe be like, that's not it. It's like, shut up, we got that one. That was funny. um but when they were talking, Gabe was talking with friends about how he loved Morgan, and she shows up like, what are you talking about? It's like the uptick in seasonal allergies, and how it is serious was funny. And then Gabe making a whole speech to Morgan about how with today's technology they're going to be able to find out who sends the packages, and then being at the post office and being told, well, we can't. And he's like, well, but with today's technology, that was funny. The Bills players immediately, when they meet old ex-Bill, like older retired Bills players at a coffee shop, and they interact with them really quickly, and then the Bills players go sit in the background, and when they leave they were like, oh, he's still in love with her. So it was really funny. A funny line. Morgan's coworker Alice asks her about the CCCT. How many glitter pom poms is too many glitter pom poms? And she answers, Alice, one can never have too many glitter pom poms. And she's like, good, because I want to eat. So that made me laugh. Morgan's mom with the megaphone, the front yard lighting when she's just yelling stuff, and they're like, mom, we're right here, and then she's like, Morgan, Gabe, I made snacks, and she's just yelling in it. I think it was funny. And then also at the end of the movie she uses again Tommy being like, I thought at first that Chris the mailman was the secret Santa, and Morgan's like, why? Well, why was he delivering all of these packages? And they're like, because he's the mailman. He's the mailman. Um, they then have a night like where they eat things and they forget the stew on the stove, and so they all leave to get. Most of them leave to look at it, and then the Gabe's dad comes back and like, does anybody know how to make stew taste less burnt? Um, there are another that was made me laugh. Another thing, Gabe chats with the Bills head coach, which I don't have the name in mind right now. I'm sorry, and I'll probably just look it up to be professional. Bill's head coach is Sean McDermott, of course. He interacts with him, and when he leaves, like, the guys were so right. He's really into her. That was funny to hear that from the coach. To me, I loved how they keep referencing how every year the Bills season never goes all the way. As a Chiefs fan, it brought me so much pleasure because it is true, and we're the one ending it. It's like the Bills. Someone says the Bills almost always win, um, and the referencing how he and Gabe and Morgan, Gabe's in love with Morgan. Um, yeah, Gabe's in love with Morgan. His friend says the Bills always almost win, and we spend our lives almost always. You spend your lives almost always telling Morgan how you feel. That just always realizing like, yeah, we're so good, and then never turns out to, never turns into anything. I love that. I love that they keep referencing that. Um, Morgan's mom telling her son-in-law, Kathy's husband, because the Bills, the tradition is just to jump on tables. I I don't know how that started, but he was about to jump on the coffee table, and she's like, Jeremy, you break another coffee table, I will break you. That made me laugh, and I wrote coffee house. So, and there are so many others. At some point, I stopped writing because I said that's going to be just an hour of me telling lines without context. But the things that I really liked also, the large scene in like kind of a main street setting that I'm knowing how they filmed the Chiefs movie and how the store was not in Kansas City, it was in Independence, Missouri, which they say it's in Independence, but still, I felt like I've heard a little bit about how they filmed the movie. I'm not sure that street is in Buffalo, it might be around Buffalo, but there's anyway, doesn't matter. There's this old cinema, and with the way they put the names of the movies that are playing, and it said now playing Five Gold Rings, which was Holland's Christmas movie last year. So I love that. I love how in Hallmark movies or anything other, they reference things from the actress past. I think last year um, we had, and I can't remember the name of the movie. If you just give me 1 second, it was the movie with the two leads were the aunts from Sabrina the Teenage Witch, and I'm gonna have it right here. I'm sorry, and I don't have it right here. Anyway, they just while I look for it, they kept referencing at some point that's magic or something like that, and I just found it or it used to be magic, magic or something, and I was like, that's a reference from their lives on the show, and that just made me laugh. And I'm gonna have the name of the movie right here, Holiday Mismatch. Yeah, so that I love when that happens. So that's a lot of what I liked. I've been to Buffalo, so I liked seeing places I've been to. That was great. Again, so many other yeah, so many other funny moments that I cannot just write all of them. But again, like really, really funny movie. Some things that I didn't like that much, and that I I want to point out or like have questions. The first one, and that's not about the movie in general, but so the two families have that front lawn display, and they live close to the stadium, so I guess it makes sense. But the whole display is just a Go Bills thing, and I'm like, for a Christmas display, I don't like that. I want the Christmas display to be about Christmas. I want Christmas things, and it was just Bill's thing. So that's I don't like. They asked Tommy the question, "You still have the gifts that he's been receiving?" And I'm like, "Why wouldn't he?" Another thing, and maybe I just don't know that world enough, but I feel like I kind of do. I do not know that the VP of stadium development would be just walking down the halls of the old stadium just chatting with the head coach. I don't know that would be a real thing. Um, Senna says that he's a Bills fan, knowing that's the same Senna from the Chiefs movie. I'm like, I'm offended, like traitor. Yeah. The other thing, when they go to the house and they realize it's the house from Bills player, and they leave, and I'm like, why not ask who lived there before? I know that they say they're going to look at the records, but at first I'm like, why not ask him? And then when on the receipt, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I didn't see right. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. There seems to be an M on the receipts, and when they look at the records from the owners of from the 70s of the house, only one person has an M in their name, and I'm like, but they can't figure it out. So maybe I'm wrong about what I'm seeing, but yeah. Another thing, and that's it goes with last year with the Chiefs movie. Are the Christmas games that important? Well, first of all, they were last year. They were telling like how making out such a big deal how in the Chiefs one how the Christmas game is so important. Well, last year was the only second year where they had a Christmas game, like truly Christmas game. And this year's like it's the last Christmas game at Hallmark. And like, is that we're making I know that we're getting towards the end of the season, so those games, the whether you win or lose are important, but the fact that it's a Christmas game, is it that I feel like in my 5 years and 6 seasons of watching the NFL, I don't think I've ever seen people referencing the fact that it is a Christmas game. You know, it's a game. That's okay. It's an important game because it's like week 16 or something. But yeah, is it the fact that it's a Christmas game that important? Another thing that I was that question, like they keep referencing the fact that they're Bills fan to deal with anything in their lives. We don't give up. We're Bills fans. Okay. It felt like too much at some point. So I don't know. The salute to service. It was nice, of course, to have Tommy reunite with Mia, but I'm like, they took away from the niece's moment. Like the niece is, they made the niece who's being like honored, and she's like, but I want to honor my aunt. And like, this whole thing's for you. Well, I mean, it's her choice in the movie, but like, still, they took away from the niece's moment. And finally, what I would say is that, and I feel like it's a huge difference with the Chiefs one. It's the supporting cast. We don't see enough. Like I want to see more Patty Murin. She's hilarious. And compared to last year, I feel like of course Hunter and Tyler was the main actors, characters, but like it was really an ensemble movie. Everyone played a huge part. We saw them a lot. I feel like in this one we saw Holland and Matthew. We saw the guy playing Tommy, but I feel like we barely saw the mom. The sister Kathy is like 5 scenes, maybe. I feel like compared, it was a big. To me, it was a big difference from last year, where it really was a big ensemble movie um, with everyone. And this year, you had all these names, you had all these important people, but we didn't see enough of them. It was really focused on on Gabe and Morgan. So that was a little let down on that because of course, I like the Chiefs one last year because of the Chiefs and because of the actors in it and the story. But I liked also that it was different. It was really an ensemble movie, and I didn't get that this year. But I will say though that I still got, even though I said the hype or around it was not the same. I got kind of the same vibes though. It kind of felt like the same production, the same vibe I felt last year with the Chicks movie, where you see it's really a movie about the town, about the city, about the fans, about the team. And you were feeling those vibes in the Chiefs one, and I felt the vibes in that one. So overall, I really, really like that movie. And it pains me to say it, but I knew it when I saw the trailer, when they released the trailer, whenever they released it, I think over the summer. I was like, God, it looks good. Because last year I joked with my friend who's like, I had to give the Chiefs one 5 stars because it's Chiefs one, it's in Kansas City. I went to the red carpet premiere. I had pictures with the actors. I had to, and when they announced the bills, I was like, and this one's going to get a 0.5. It did not because I said I'll be objective, and it was a really good movie. I really enjoyed myself, really enjoyed watching this movie. um Really cute story. I thought that even though I complain about the fact that we saw a lot of them, and it's not that I didn't want to see them, but it's like we didn't see enough of the supporting cast. I feel like it was a really good pairing. I think the chemistry was really great, was there. I really liked Gabe's, I'll call it authenticity and vulnerability towards like he's been loving that girl for so long and he's been scared to tell her. I like that part. I think it's always sweet to have a character like that. So I really like that. I think apparently it was I checked. I thought it was his second, but it was apparently from what I found online Matthew's first Hallmark movie. Um, so I'd like him to get more because it was really good. And again, really enjoyed the movie. Give it 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. And I said, as a Chiefs fan and Bills hater, it hurts me to say this, but this movie was awesome. I'll get comfort I'll take comfort in remembering that the Chiefs one will always be the first one. And from what I felt, the more hyped one. So yeah, that was Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story. I enjoyed it, and I haven't watched the extended cut on Hallmark Plus, but I will do that at some point. I need to watch the Chiefs one first, and I haven't seen that one. Would you believe it? We're now going to move on to the second movie of our weekend six, Melt My Heart This Christmas, which premiered on Sunday, November 23rd, 2025 at 8, 7 Central on Hallmark Channel, and starred Laura Vandervoort. Hopefully I pronounced that right. And I'm going to say that again for the next person, Stefan Hazard, Huzzar, probably. Yeah. It is, I believe, Laura's first Hallmark movie since Miracle in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania in 2023. The biggest Hallmark mystery movie of that year. And would you believe that 2 years later, we are not getting Hallmark mystery movies ever again? Well, not ever again, but right now we're not getting them, and I don't think we're going to get new, some new ones. So our first one since then, I remember really liking that movie, and yeah, it was the final movie of Miracles of Christmas that year, and people really liked it. A funny thing about this movie, so this movie is produced by Studio TF1, French TF1 America. TF1 is a French channel and the biggest channel in Europe. It doesn't air all across Europe, but when you see the ratings, all that, it is the biggest channel in Europe. So it is produced by their American studio branch. That was another studio before that, and then got called that. And I'm gonna just look it up really quickly what it was called before because I know what it was. It was Real One Entertainment, and Johnson Production Group, and it was rebranded in May 2025 as that. So what was funny is that that movie, even though it's a Hallmark movie, and even though I'll talk about it at the end, or maybe I can talk about it now, I don't have proof. I don't have 100% certainty, but I do not think it was a fully produced Hallmark movie from the start. I feel like Hallmark bought it at some point. I feel like the production, the not the lead actors, but the other actors, the title card, the poster, even kind of some of the story didn't scream Hallmark and screamed outside production, even though Hallmark produces the movies. I think with in association with other production companies, it felt like this one, the other production companies had the upper hand on it. So anyway, it was produced by the American branch of the French channel. So what's funny is that it premiered in France on that channel before premiering in the US. So the movie premiered on November 23rd on Hallmark Channel and premiered on November 18th on TF1. And that will be the case for another one, at least from what I've seen online, The Christmas Baby, which premieres on December 21st here in the US and is the final movie of Countdown to Christmas for this year. And it premieres in France on December 4th. So this time we get a bigger gap because for this one, basically, we got the gap of Monday to Sunday. And for this one, we will get the gap. No, it was Tuesday to Sunday. And this one, we get the gap of like 3 weeks, something like that. Yeah, 3 weeks and 3 days. So bigger gap. So let's get into the movie. So the movie starts with Holly James, a glassblower who is making Christmas ornaments under the company name Verre, which in French means glass. Jack Dubois is the organizer and artist's relation manager of the Fern Grove Christmas Market. And then we will talk about the Fern Grove Christmas Fair because I call it two different things. And I'll talk about that in the end. Jack and Holly already knew each other, or you know each other, and she wants to go to the market and to expose there, but she's not allowed because she has not been selected for a booth. She begs Jack to let her expose at the emerging artist booth. Headliner Bianca Bonhomme. It feels weird to me to speak French when I'm speaking English, but technically I should say Bonhomme. Bonhomme. Sorry, even I tried and I couldn't. So Bianca Bonhomme is a legend in the glass blowing world, and she kind of like quits at the last minute because her assistant quit, and she has no one to set up her booth. So Holly says that she will be Bianca's assistant, and that Jack should give her spot at the market to thank her for saving him. And he at first disagrees, but then caves. Her friend Colette, um, Holly's friend, is the new social media manager for the fair. The market needs a good year because attendance is down and the development company wants the land and they are making a big offer. So that's Jack Grandpa's telling him that because he's the one He's the big boss. And so getting Walter Gregson, the host of Holiday Highlights, getting his seal of the season could really help. He's going to come judge, and at the end, he gives his seal of the season. Bianca Bonhomme is coming out of retirement, so it is to gauge the public's reaction to the new collection. But she does not like Holly's excitement. She's like, "You're too excited. Like, turn it down." The collection is clear, like really simple, clear vases and stuff. And Bianca was known for her color work before. Bianca says that she's not ready for Walter to look at her work. She actually thinks he's coming after her after criticizing her work and saying that she relied on color to hide the lack of technique. She asks Holly to wear makeup and heels the next day, and when she shows up, she tells her the makeup looks bad and heels are dangerous around glass. So you see the kind of person. Customers do not like the new collection because it looks too basic, not what they are used to from Bianca and with all the colors. Colette learns that there, who now I should have mentioned that earlier, Holly, when she Jack basically says you can be Bianca's assistant and all that, she brings her collection to the emerging artists booth without telling Jack or anyone, but she says it's a collection for Bear, so she drops it up there. And Colette learns that Bear has sold out, and Walter hears about it, and Colette tells him that she will set up an interview. Bianca is jealous of Bear and asks Holly to find out who that is. Of course, it's her. Holly has to convince Bianca to go to the Mingle and Jingle mixer, so she tells her that Bear will be there. Holly asks Colette to help to keep her identity quiet. Holly shows up at the mixer, and Jack is mesmerized. She's in a beautiful dress. She looks really lovely. She does not want Jack to know, and she doesn't want Jack to know that she's there either. Colette lies to Bianca by telling her that Vare is a recluse who lives in a cabin back east, so she tells Holly to stay clear of the booth and that she will do the restocking. Jack comes to see Holly and knocks one of Bianca's vases over while giving her a coffee. So they go to Bianca's hot shop to make a new one. Holly's dream, so while there, she tells Jack that her dream is to get an artist residency at the Museum of Glass, but she needs a professional exhibition under her belt to apply, so that is why she needs to expose at the fair, and you can only apply a limited amount of time. Jack wants his dream. He tells her that his dream is to expand to the online market, but his grandfather does not really care about that. And Holly encourages Jack to make it his own, and if this is the last fair. Jack offers to walk Holly home, and they leave the kiln on, which I wrote that down, and it does not matter. It ends the scene right before like commercial break, and like he says, "Oh, and leave the kiln on." So I thought we would go back from commercial break like a fire. Nothing. No one ever cares about that. But I said I wrote it down. I'll mention it, and at least I can talk about that. Holly manages to replace the vase. Bianca says she needs to do something big to remind everyone she's the queen of glass, and Holly says it's a great thing because her current collection does not look like her. Walter shows up, and Bianca says she has a new installation coming to compete with Vera. Jack tells her that he did not see her name at the Emerging Colors booth, and she's about to tell him that she is there, but the lights at the fair turns off, and she decides to head home. People keep passing by Bianca's booth, but without entering because they're just not interested. Bianca sees Holly drawing something and tells her it is a difficult thing to pull off. Holly tells her that she's hoping to apply to the Museum of Glass with this piece, and Bianca tells her that she's on the board and that if she manages to make it, she would be very impressed. Bianca is stressed about the fair, the lack of sales, Walter, the new installation. She shows Holly the new pieces, but she's not impressed. They are again too different from Bianca's style. Holly points out another creation is more her style, Christmas presents that she made out of glass that she modeled on presents Bianca got from her dad as a kid. She took a picture of the beautifully wrapped presents she would get every year, and she made them in glass. The next day, when showing up to the booth, Bianca finds a piece of broken glass from the broken vase. Walter recognizes the blue collar on Vera's new line. Every day, Vera's has a new color in the line at the emerging artist booth, and this time it's blue. And you recognize that it's the same blue Holly has on the bracelet she told him she made. And Bianca recognizes Holly's ornament on the tree that's at the center of the fair. Like there's something from each vendor's, and she bought that same ornament from there. So it's like so there's and Jack tells her, "Oh yeah, that's Holly's pre." No, she doesn't tell her anything, but she recognizes the ornament. Jack Grandpa tells him that Bianca asked him to look into there, but he cannot find any record of her and asks him if he admitted someone without an application. And Jack realizes, yeah, I admitted Holly, so she's there. Bianca confronts Holly. Zach comes to help her, and Walter shows up. He compliments the present and asks Holly if she's going to tell Bianca who she is, and Bianca feels betrayed. Holly forgot to give Bianca Walter's interview question, and Walter is filming everything because Bianca was really worried about the interview, so they said, "I will give you the question in advance." Bianca says that Holly suggested she shows her old work so that she'd look silly and outdated herself, and embarrassed herself, and that Holly just wanted to use her to show her work next to her. Bianca told her she hid everything because she was afraid of rejection. Bianca tells her that she would do everything she can to reject her application at the museum, and she blames Jack for setting her up with Holly. Holly tells her that he had nothing to do with it, so Bianca tells him that he's negligent and unprofessional and that she will tell everyone that this fair is unprofessional. Jack tells Holly to go. Jack's grandpa tells him that um, letting an artist expose without the proper vetting could cost them their reputation and that Walter will never give them the seal of the season. He thought Jack was ready to lead the fair and that he was mistaken. He has decided to sell. Holly goes to see Bianca to apologize and tells her that she wasn't her inspiration growing up and she wanted to help her get her renown back. Bianca tells her she knows about the vase and that she did a great job and she would have never noticed if she had not stepped on the piece of glass. She's upset, but she understands, and Holly was right. Her work was not her. She was not staying true to her artistic vision. While they're talking, Walter releases his show in which he praises Bear. He teases that he has never seen footage that he will hear after the break, so Bianca says to turn it off. Holly suggests that they bypass Walter and they go live on social media. Bianca says that they would do it in the morning and that they should go get to work on Holly's design that she was drawing. So you see that they're good. The next day on the live stream, Bianca says that she's debuting her Christmas gift installation at the fair and that she was inspired by her assistant Holly, who she is a big fan of. She thanks Holly for bringing her back to her roots. The live stream goes viral and people show up to the fair. More people than ever, like for since a little while. Walter apologizes to Bianca for being one of the reasons she dropped the collar, and she says she will accept only if he gives the fair his seal of the season. But he tells her he already has and makes the announcement in the live stream. Jack's grandpa recognizes that all of this was possible with Jack's idea to include social media and the emerging artist booth, and that he has decided not to sell and that Jack should be the new director. Um, Bianca thanks Holly and tells her that this experience and her were exactly what she needed. She will recommend her for the residency on the condition that she uses her real name. She also tells her that she can continue being her assistant. Holly apologizes to Jack for not telling her she was there, and he tells her that he should have never doubted her motives and that she deserved her spot in the emerging artist booth. He offers her the headlining artist spot next year. And they kiss. And that was Melt My Heart This Christmas. Less to say about that one than I had to say about the Bills one, to the point where I didn't write a letterbox review because I just didn't know. I'm still undecided about that movie. I will mention two things that I really liked. I really appreciated. It was filmed in winter for sure. The snow is real. The winter's real. There's fog. Still don't know if we can call that fog, but like coming out of their mouth when they talk. And I'm telling you, they must have been so cold filming that movie. But I appreciate that it was filmed during winter. And another thing I really like is for the I don't know how many times this season we are getting another mention of Taylor Swift. Um, Colette tells Holly, "Guess what?" And Holly says, "You got a T Swift tickets." I don't know for what though. The tour's over. I think they just wanted to ride on that wave. But again, I like that they mentioned Taylor Swift. Um, and things that I appreciated because we're in that. I didn't know that I didn't write down anything else, but I will say I love both actors. I love Laura. I love Stefan. Stefan hasn't really made Hallmark movies this year because they aired all of the mystery one he makes with Jodie Sweden. Oh God, the name I just cannot remember. Looking it up right now. The Jane Mysteries. So they aired them on Hallmark on TV this year, but they're all movies that premiered on Hallmark Plus last year. And if this one's not produced by Hallmark, not really a Hallmark movie, he didn't make movies for Hallmark this year. So I hope we'll see him in more. He'll come back, hopefully. Um, and yeah, I like Laura. I hope she'll come back as well. Um, I will say I appreciated the movie more as we went. As it went. Like my interest for the movie got better because I was not like knowing that it was probably not made. And again, maybe I'm wrong by Hallmark, and be like glass blowing movie. Uh, yeah, okay. Um, I didn't come into this movie excited, so of course when it started, and you can see, and the way I feel like I can see it's not is I feel like the production is a little less. And of course, we get the two known actors, but then around, it's not actors that usually the secondary characters is still like secondary characters we know, actors that we know. We didn't know any of them. I don't know. I don't know that, but I still appreciated it more as we went. What I didn't really like, the first thing I noticed that the title card doesn't look good at the beginning. So they first reference Fern Grove, the Fern Grove Christmas Market, and then it's Fern Grove Christmas Fair. So like, which one is it? It's it means the same thing, but like, what's the name? There's like market. I think at some point they then go back to market for one time, so that kind of annoyed me. Thing that was like, no, 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 come on, no. Um, Jack gets this idea of putting every vendor's like piece of every vendor's on the tree, and she's like, "It's really innovative." Like that's not. And with the info for their booth, that I guess maybe it's a little innovative, but like that's not nothing crazy. Um, at some point, someone says, I don't remember if it's Jack, I didn't know write that down, but in live stream says, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." It's plain day outside. It's like I know you want to reference that famous line quote, but it's the middle of the day, so that does not work. And in the end, she's like, "I think you should kiss me now." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." Because at first, I'd say when she shows up at the market and he's mesmerized, I'm like, "Well, the development for the love story went fast because it didn't see anything." It's like, and then throughout the rest of the movie, it slows down. I feel like, and I don't know. I was like, I think you should kiss me now. Like that's I didn't feel it at that point. I knew they were going to end up, and you know what you're getting with these movies, so of course you feel it's going to happen. I was like, I didn't feel that you should have said it that way at that point. One final thing, I don't know if you can see that, and I maybe should have said it in the liked. or something I want to point out, which maybe it's what we're in right now. You can see that it's produced by a French studio because the names are so French. There's a lot of French names. Um, Jacques Dubois, French. Bianca Bonhomme, French. Uh, it's screams French, the name. So like you see that they want to sell it to the French market, referencing more fair, French fair. We don't know. So that was Melt My Heart This Christmas. I will say, so I didn't write a review. I give it at the beginning of the movie. It's like, is it gonna be a one or like one and a half? Give it a two because I got more interested as the movie went. I'm still so undecided. I cannot make up my mind about this movie. But anyway, that was the two movies from weekend six of Countdown to Christmas. I will just say one quick thing about reality TV about last week. Last week, when at the talent show, so no, at the thing, oh God, the festive face off, Merry face off, something they call the first thing they do in Finding Mr. Christmas. Um, Angel won and got an advantage in the star quality challenge, and it revealed that he was a immunity, and that he could either keep it for himself or give it to someone. And at the elimination ceremony, he says, "I'm gonna give it to Robbie." And like, this is the dumbest thing he could have said. He could have done. Robbie, even though I've heard from other people they didn't like the talent, I felt like people liked the talent. He made jokes. He roasted Jonathan. I think Jonathan really liked that. And then when he answered the question, he had a really sad story. And not saying that they judge only on that, but on reality TV, I have a lot of reality TV under my belt as a watcher. I know that they like a sad story. So like Robbie was never going home, and he won the challenge. So like there are other people you could have given that immunity to. That was last week. Forgot to mention it, so I just said I'll mention it this week. Robbie went home this week actually. So like I said, I'm not. I still have to watch Holiday Baked with Love. Holiday. So that was it for weekend six. We are heading, and as I'm recording, we are past midnight. It's Wednesday now. Uh, we're heading into Merry Thanksgiving weekend and the seven premieres in 4 days. That is when last year I truly started to. Well, I didn't watch the Friday one before Merry Thanksgiving weekend because I had Friendsgiving and never got to catch up on that one. And then I started to lose track on Thanksgiving because, again, seven movies in 4 days. Um, Used to be easy when I lived in France because I had nothing much to do. And the only year I watched all of them was the strike year, so was nothing on TV. But this year, and also it was later at night. This year, first movie of the day on Friday at 5 p.m. I'll let you know. Well, I have something to do, but even if I didn't have something to do, I probably wouldn't be in front of my TV like 5 p.m. movie because I'm in Central Time. So, and especially because this weekend, the Hallmark Christmas experience is starting, and it's every weekend, and the big events with the tree lighting and the Hallmark stars, and all that are happening at the same time as the movies are airing, meaning that I'll have to, I'm not going to watch the movies live. Like, so my goal is to, of course, watch all of them. I don't know the timeline though, but I feel like for this podcast now, I have to. But I feel like what I'm gonna do is either release, not gonna do at least for Merry Thanksgiving weekend, and we'll see if that continues as we go on, not do weekend recaps, but do movie recaps. So one episode would be one movie, or like two movies. Let's say in this one, I'm recapping, I don't know, the Friday at 6, 5 Central and the Saturday at 8, 7 Central. And I'll make that clear. But I'm not going to do Merry Thanksgiving weekend full recap. Maybe I will change again, go back to this, because seven movies in 4 days, and that's a lot of episodes and a lot to talk about. Maybe I'll go back to more succinct summaries I'll find online. I don't know about that yet, but yeah, I'm for sure. I don't think next week because I also have schools. We're heading into school. We're heading into finals, and there's so much Christmas stuff happening in Kansas City, and there's Thanksgiving, and I've yeah, and the there's tree lightings and like it's what we call the Evergy Country Club Plaza lighting ceremony on Thanksgiving night, and then the tree lightings and basically Crown Center with where the Hallmark Christmas experience is happening and Hallmark's headquarters is going to be my second home for the next month. So I will probably be doing one at one movie per episode or like two, and I'll make it clear which one it is. And I'm also starting an Instagram. So follow Instagram. The link will be in the description. I haven't started it yet, so I'm not gonna say the name in case that one's not available. But follow me there, and I hope to do a lot there and of course post clips and maybe info and share stuff. And as the Hallmark Christmas experience is starting, hopefully to get pictures like I did last year with Hallmark stars and videos and just sharing my experience also at the Hallmark Christmas experience. Like I said, I'm going to be there all the time, and then I have tickets to two panels on December 7th. So I am going to be really excited to be there. Anyway, we're at 1 hour past. I know I have one thing to cut, but we're going to get 1 hour. Thank you so much if you made it this far. It again feels weird saying it, but like, comment, subscribe, and tell me if you liked it. Tell me what you liked about the movie, if you liked the movies, your opinion, and tell your friends and your family about this podcast and follow Instagram. And yeah, happy Thanksgiving. Thank you very much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.